All right. Give us 1 second. We'll be live. Okay, hey, welcome back to Sunday Scares. Whole week has gone by, and we're back. Now, of course, I don't have a guest. Go figure. And we've got a new cigar to try. One I haven't tried yet. Of course, we've got a tried and true payback Maduro. This is just a little Busto, which I like little Bustos. I know people that complain about it, but we have one that I've never had nor seen called the Island Gem. Island Gem. And I think this is an Oscar cigar. I think this is by Oscar Valdez. I think it's Oscar Valdez. I could be wrong. But we're going to give it a try. It's a shaggy foot cigar. As you can see, it's not clean cut. It's got a bit of shagginess to it. The band stops about there and it flays out, so it's a splayed foot cigar. And I don't know what to call this end. I don't know what to call this kind of crown. But you don't, apparently, don't have to cut it, I guess. I don't know. I've never had it. We're gonna try it. Unfortunately, I was gonna try to have Joe on the show this week, but life gets in the way. He's off doing hood rat things, the hood rat way. Kind of a pain in the ass to light, but you don't have to cut it. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's give it a quick shot. See what we think at the beginning. Honestly, it's a little unremarkable. It's kind of meh. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not good. But we will keep going and persevere and see if it changes as it warms up. Because sometimes cigars do that. They change as they warm up. I was right. This is an Oscar Valdez, or however you pronounce his last name. Valadares. 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 That's Oscar Valadares. That's what I thought. Makes Superfly, McFly, and a couple other brands that I think are okay. Not great, but they're all right. This one's just kind of bad. I mean, it's not the best. It's not the worst. It's not the worst cigar I've ever smoked. Not by a long shot. But it's not that good. It's just kind of meh. So for the start, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. For the first part, first third. We'll go by thirds. So we'll report back when it's about a finger away from the label. I mean, it's got some coffee notes to it. It's got a bit of an earthy note. I mean, it's just, I would not have paid 12 bucks for this stick if I knew it was going to be like this. I mean, it's just not very anything. It's like the fucking, the Miwat that we smoked on here. My Uzi weighs a ton. Mediocrity. The whole way through that fucking cigar. It's mediocrity. Like, it was fucking awful. Like, it wasn't like bad. It just wasn't anything. It wasn't good. It wasn't memorable. It wasn't notable. It was just, eh. You know, it's just like, eh. Not even a good eh. Just eh. Hmm. Yeah, that's just mediocre. That's just mediocre. Oh well. Yeah, that is a very mediocre cigar. Um, I am not impressed with it, and I kind of regret spending $12 on it because it's just eh. It's not even a full meh. It's just eh. Also, I hate this kind of cup too, which I don't know if you're supposed to, but I'm not doing. Little nipple of a fucking tip. Mmm, much better. Mm. Oh, now it opens up. Now it's okay. But you cut this stupid little foot off, and this stupid little crown. It's not bad. It's just not fucking good. I mean, yeah, it's just tobacco all the way through. So it wasn't like a decorative cap that I was trying to smoke it through. It was just the crown was decorative but functional. Oh, and I'm stupid. If it wasn't fucking functional, I wouldn't have been able to light the goddamn thing. You wouldn't have seen giant puffs of fire when I was puffing on the cigar trying to get it going. So, the crown sucks. I don't like the crown of this thing. But you cut the crown off, and it's much easier to smoke. And the flavors open up a bit. It's not so constrained. I mean, the flavors are still mediocre, and it's still meh. But it went from eh to meh. Like, I could see this going with a cup of coffee. I really could. But it, it's got a bit of a leathery finish to it. A little bit of leather, a little bit of coffee bitter. Not like coffee, but just that bitter coffee esque flavor. And then it has its own little coffee flavor. I mean, it's not bad. You know, I'm gonna give it a 6 instead of a 5. Of course, I'm about to pollute my palate by drinking fucking monsters, so what do I know? And I don't have the usual flavor because the gas station I stopped at fucking didn't have it. Just a mediocre day all around. uh, it's like it's trying to have a slight hazelnut flavor to it, but it gets buried under earthy note, and the earthy note is strong, but not strong enough. It's got a bitter flavor, like black coffee bitter, which I love my coffee black, but it's just underwhelming. Sorry, my allergies are bugging me today. It's just underwhelming. It's meh. Like, although I've noticed a lot of Oscar cigars, Island Gin being Oscar, that a lot of his cigars can be hit or miss between blends. Like, I'm not saying like the Superfly has a great for you know degree of variation from stick to stick. I'm just saying box to box, or maybe even batch to batch. There's some inconsistencies and while the McFly, those inconsistencies kind of play well together and make it exciting or kind of an adventurous little cigar, the Superfly is kind of the same way, but I don't think I'm going to try another one of these Island Gems. I don't see myself spending another 12 fucking dollars on it because it's eh, meh. It's just meh. If I want mediocrity, I'll smoke a fucking factory, smoke factory. You know, well, like if I wanted fucking mediocrity, I'd just like this motherfucker. And this is just a factory smokes Maduro. You know, a good cheap smoke that doesn't taste bad but isn't terrible. But I can buy a bundle of 25, $50, and I paid fucking 12 for one stick, and it's just not that impressive. It's underwhelming. Like, like it gets a golf clap if anything. It's like you tried, you tried, good try. It's, it's like a participation award. Like it's just not very good. Speaking of not very good, yesterday I spent 3 hours prototyping a new cigar stand. Now it looks like my normal one, except this is just a Mark One. It has a little keychain or little clip. Put it on your belt, clip it to your bag, your backpack, whatever. And I'm not happy with the Mark One. The Mark One is ugly, but it's a rough prototype. It's more of a proof of concept that I could put this on the end of this without sacrificing quality. Then I have the Mark II. Mark II is a little more refined. Mind you, these are untreated leather, so they're soft, supple, and extremely flexible. When you dye them and oil them, they stiffen up a bit. Now, I like this concept of this kind of tail. I just need to make it wider so that this isn't like that, so that it sits a little more secure. So we're we're gonna work on it. We are gonna work, and that way it'll hopefully turn out to be something decent. And of course, I put a spacer in there in the middle, right there, just a little spacer, so I can make use of the longer rivet. Now, this is, like I said, Mark 1, proof of concept, Mark 2, prototype. And probably going to go through another revision tomorrow and then probably the fourth and final version. Because the fourth version usually seems to be the one that works best for me. But yeah. So, but no, that Island Gem, it is underwhelming. Like, I would not pay $12 for another one. Huh. I'm not even sure I want to finish it. Like, I'm not sure I want to finish that stick. It's just incredibly underwhelming. It has an earthy note. The earthy note isn't strong enough to balance out with the bitter black coffee note and the slight leather note. And I take it back. The hazelnut thing was probably just me trying to describe the earthy note. But it doesn't have much more going for it. Like the flavors are just not good. Like they're not bad, and the cigar itself isn't bad. It's just not good. It's not a good stick, and I don't think it's worth $12. Well, I paid more than 12 something for it, and I really don't think it's worth the price. I don't. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. And it's not like the salesperson at the shop I'm at was like, "Oh, you gotta try it." They're like, "I don't know." Some people said they like it. Others have said it's kind of bland. Yeah, I think it's kind of bland. Yeah, yeah, it's just bland. Oh well, maybe it'll change past the half point. Who knows? Cigars can do that. Some cigars, once they warm up, the flavor profile changes. Like the Doomsayer by Room 101. The aggressive, the Doomsayer aggressive. When you first start smoking it, until it warms up, it tastes like fucking dirt. I kid you not. Like, you know, when you smell like someone's digging a garden or digging a hole and you smell that rich soil smell, that's what it tastes like. But as it warms up, it develops a leather note, a creamy note, a coffee note, mild chocolate note here and there. Like it warms up and the flavor profile changes. That's what I'm hoping happens with this Iron Gem. Because if not, then I'm going to be disappointed by its mediocrity. I mean, let's be honest. The crown, yeah, you don't have to cut the crown. It's like come cut, but it's pointless. It's small, trivial. It really, really uh, truncated the smoke of that cigar. Truncated it down, slowed it down. And maybe that's, smoke it so fast. But maybe they did that so you don't smoke it so fast. Because it seems like it smokes a little faster now that I've opened it up. And that's the thing with cigars. If you cut the crown too deep or too far, full throttle. It'll it'll just burn, burn, burn. And it'll burn quick. But if you do a small punch or you know, small cut here, then it will truncate the smoke. It'll slow it down. It'll retard it like when you put a dam to water or a constrictive flow, you know, it slows the water. And so that's not bad. But on this one, it was bad. So, cut it. Huh. No, it was just my imagination. Thought I tasted like oats for a second, like oaty, like an oat flavor. No, no, it's just my imagination. But it's just bland. It's not good. It's just mediocrity in form. Yeah, that's disappointing. That's very disappointing. Also, I got a ton of shit done with the leather stream, or not the leather stream, the leather shop this week. Got over 100 pipe cigar stands dyed, cut, assembled, and ready to go. Finally organized my leather rivets by size because before then they were all just kind of clumped together. Now they're in their own little each thing. The caps are in separate things, so it's way more organized, which is nice. Yeah. So that was good. Got some more rivets coming. Uh, and it's not like the rivets I've been using. It's not like These rivets where it's, a cap and a post, no. They're rivet and burr, so you have to deform them, cut them, and then paint them, which should be interesting because I've been meaning to try that, and I want to see how that looks for some of the things I'm doing. And I want to see how it patinas, how it will oxidize and change, because I think that will look really good with some of the designs I'm working. So hopefully, hopefully that'll work, and hopefully I can find a way to make these little keychain, whatever you want to call them, pipe stands better. I just have to make this little tail a little wider so that it fits this D-ring. So we'll probably be working on that. Yeah. As for Tuesday TTF streams, those have always been subjective to how I feel after treatment. And I don't always feel good after treatment. There are times where I will be just drained for the whole day. So, yeah. And I am still waiting on that damn sewing machine. Like, the delivery date got changed to like the 27th of May. And it's like, really? Fucking really? Uh, Sent out an email. Oh, we're sorry, we're having to change the delivery date due to some logistical problems. It's like, why are your logistical problems my problem? Why couldn't you have told me sooner? Oh well, it'll show up when it shows up, and if not, I'll get my money back and go buy one from elsewhere. Yeah. So yeah. Mm, man, that's just mediocre. And I am very disappointed in that stick. Because like my price range for cigars is 8 to 15 bucks per stick. That's the price range I'm at. That's where I'm comfortable. And there's plenty of good sticks in that price range. And this is not one of them. This is not one of them. This is disappointing. Like, if I could get my money back, I might. But I can't. God, that's underwhelming. If I'd known it was an Austria without the Reds, I wouldn't have bought it. But yeah, either way, I bought it. I'm stuck with it. I gotta deal with it. Can't really do anything about it. Now, tomorrow we are going to do a leather stream. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We might be working on a Mark III prototype, or Mark III prototype for the cigar and pipe stand with the little clip. Because the idea is you clip this to your belt or your cigar bag or your little travel humidor, and you don't have to have it in there, and it can just be there. And you can use it as a little carry strap if you wanted. That's the idea behind it. You know, that's the general idea. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna make this wider, right? I'm gonna make this tail wider so it fits the D-ring securely, and I'm gonna make it shorter. In fact, if I trim this down a little and square off that end, it could just sit in there. And if it sits in there like that, it'd be more secure. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do for Mark III. That's what we're gonna work on tomorrow. That's what we're gonna work on tomorrow while I'm doing my mom's laundry. Why? Because my mom is old and she can't do her own laundry. And the nursing home I pay for washes her laundry in hot water. apparently that's bad. So I just pick her laundry up, pick her up, bring her over to my house. She hangs out. I do laundry. Or maybe I'll go to her storage unit with her and go through some more of that shit. Who knows? Who knows? We'll figure it out. Who knows? But point being that we got plans for tomorrow, and I like the idea of moving that D-ring back for the clip into the body of this, because then I could just keep it flush, but rivet through. Yeah, just do two rivets. One a little further up on this one, and one right there. Boom, and it'll hold it tight. Yeah, I like that. I think that's what we'll do. So I'll put couple. I'll have to put more spacers in there. Or no, I can use one spacer. And I could just cut part of the spacer down to fit the D-ring, hold it level. And then we can just roll from there. All right. I like this plan. That'll be Mark 3. Mark 3 works, then we'll go to Mark 4. Mark 4 will be the final, and then we will tear it apart carefully and use it to make a template. Oh, well, we're about almost halfway through. Band came right off. That's not bad. But and it's stayed. I got to give it one thing. I got to give the cigar one thing. It's been consistent. It has been. It has been consistently bland and consistently underwhelming. Like it's a shame because the Oscar Valadares company they make some real good sticks. They do. Just they're just bland. It's just so bland. It's like oatmeal with nothing in it. Like I'll eat plain oatmeal, just oats and water with no sugar, no butter, no cream, no honey, no cinnamon, no spices, no fruit. I'll eat it plain. I don't. I prefer not to because it's bland, but that's kind of how this cigar is. It's fucking bland. Like I am actually kind of getting mad sitting here thinking about it. Like I'm hoping it gets better. That's what I'm. I hope it gets better. Oh man, I don't know if there's anything else going. I mean, it's been raining like a motherfucker out here. Like had to move the car a couple times because hail. I don't want to pay through the nose for hail repair. And even though I have really good insurance for the car, I don't want to pay a deductible to get the car fixed for hail. You know. Oh man, I am very, very, very disappointed with that cigar. Like it's just incredibly underwhelming. Yeah, that is not what I would call not good, like at all. Like I Oh man, I just don't like it. I mean, it is fucking bland. Like I've spent almost 30 minutes bitching about this cigar. And I'm not one to bitch about stuff. And I've given it a chance and I'm not gonna finish it. I'm not finishing that. I'm not. That's just not worth it. That is not what I would call a good cigar. I wouldn't call it terrible cigar, but I wouldn't call it good. Ugh. You know what? I'm gonna cleanse my palate with a cheap cigar before I go to a good cigar. I'm not saying the cheap cigar is bad. I've had plenty of cigars that were cheap and good. These factory smokes by Drew Estate are good. They are good. They're just not great. Well, I like they're like a cost efficient underground, which is a good thing. I like the underground. The underground Maduro is one of my top five cigars for my price range, and she's and they're not bad. I like the underground. The underground's a good stick, and it's not a bad price. You know, get them for about $10, rounding up. Depending where you go, they're usually around $8 to $10. Some places a little more, some places a little less, but they're good. They're a solid cigar. Now, I'm not going to smoke this whole thing. I'm just going to, smoke a little of it, let it die out, because I just want to cleanse the palate before I move on to my next stick. Kind of like how people who taste wine will sip the wine, they'll swish it, spit it out, and then drink some water, clean their palate. That's kind of what I'm doing this with. You know, although this does taste better than the Island Gem. Oh man, that was disappointing. The Island Gem cigar was disappointing for the price, but it was a little more flavorful and a little more memorable than the My Uzi Ways of Time. That to date is still the most bland cigar, an unremarkable cigar I've ever smoked. The Moet was absolutely bland. It's mediocrity persona. Go ahead and get that paper ready. Much better. Okay. It has been raining a lot. And so we've done a lot around the house to get the yard ready for the rain. Aerated it. Well, top dressed it, put on some weed and feed, aerated it, got it ready for the rain, and it's looking a lot better. The front yard is starting to fill in. It's kind of like the backyard. I see it's got the hiccups. Excuse me. It's kind of like the backyard when we cut off that fucking Chinaberry tree. It, it was killing the yard. It was sucking all the moisture out of the yard. A couple live oaks in the corner of the yard weren't doing too well because of that Chinaberry tree. And when we cut it out, or had it cut out, like a week later, the grass had just exploded and taken off. Like bare spots were filling in rapidly. And the oak trees in the corner of the live oak, and I think the live oak hybrid, were doing a lot better. Like they were doing so much better, which is a good thing. And so, because we also had the trees in the front yard, the live oak and the oak elm hybrid framed out and had their canopies raised, we cut off a ton of suckers off the trees. Suckers are little superfluous branches that pop up on the trunk and they'll eventually turn to a limb. But if you want your tree to be healthy, try to get rid of them on the trunk and lower level. So the canopy fills. And we did that. Those trees started doing a lot better. Once we had all the dead wood cut out, all the suckers cut off of them, those trees are doing a hell of a lot better, which is good. And even the grass between the two trees, which got killed in the summer because we have hot summers down here, and certain types of grass do not do well in summer heat here in Texas. Some grasses do real well, others don't. And so, know where you're at, know your region, temperatures, frost levels, and all that. You can pick grass that can survive that, and it'll be good. But the St. Augustine is slowly growing back in. Mm, much better. Oh man, I can't believe I spent money on that only for it to be fucking bland. Like horribly bland. Like garbage level bland. Man, that is terrible. All right. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get something to drink, and we will be right back. Don't go nowhere. All right, we're back. We're back. Had to get a Sprite. I'm abandoning the factory smell. Gonna let that die. Sorry, might we might want to smoke a little more of that later. So we are gonna trim it down, inch past the burn, where it's cool. Blow through it, and that will hopefully preserve that. Now, that's the thing about cigars. There are so many blends and varieties. There's so many varieties of tobacco. There's so many blends that you can put together that there's a wide world of cigars that you can get out there for flavor profiles. And I don't mean ones that are like black and milds or swishers, where it's just cheap tobacco, like cigarette tobacco that's been sprayed with toppers like they do, pipe tobacco. But I mean, it's like a wine, right? Like grapes. And so many things can play a factor on the flavor from the tobacco. The soil, the amount of sunlight, the altitude it's grown at, the amount of water it gets, what's in the water. Is it alkali? Is it a little more acidic? Is it harsher? Is it hard water? You know, the pH level and even the minerals that are dissolved in solution in the water can play a factor, like with grapes when it comes to wine. You know, all those things play a factor in the flavor of the product. And then when you cure the tobacco, that can change the flavor. How it's cured. Is it cured in an open air barn, in a tobacco barn? Is it cured in a heated warehouse? How it's cured and how it's aged, again, plays a factor in the flavor. And that's the interesting thing. Cigars are kind of like wine. You can get different cigars from different parts of the world that could have the same species of seed that the tobacco comes from, right? But because one's grown at 100 feet above sea level and another one's grown at, say, 500 feet above sea level, the flavors will be different. Hell, the flavors can vary. Uh, like, I'm just gonna say Nicaragua. Nicaragua, they grow a lot of tobacco. They grow good tobacco, and the cigars I've had made of Nicaraguan tobacco are generally really, really good. Again, price range and all. My $8 to $15 price range. Now, different tobacco farms blend differently for seed stock. Okay, and depending on how that tobacco is grown affects the flavor. So even in Nicaragua, you could have one farm that's 10 miles away from another farm on the other side of the mountain or at the other side of the valley, hell, at the other end of the valley. And their flavor will be different because of environmental differences, water differences, sunlight, age, time, all that. It can play a big factor in the flavor of tobacco for a cigar. you know, and that's that's the thing. There's so many varieties and ways to blend, and so many combinations of blends that you will never find an end to it. You know, there's just so many variations that it's hard to, nail it down to just one, you know, and that's fine. I love these Room 101 paybacks. They're definitely top three for me. Hell, they may even be top one. They may be the price range stick I love the most. I've met Matt Booth, the big guy in charge from Room 101, and he's a cool guy. He's apparently Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Everyone I've ever met that has met him, he's just been super chill and super cool. And he's friendly, you know. But apparently, according to someone I was talking to up there who has met Island Jim, the guy's a jerk. Like, he's an asshole. So, yeah. Oh, well. Island Jim put out a terrible cigar, and I was dumb enough to buy it. Damn. Got no one to blame but myself. Yeah. Yeah. Allergies killing me. Because of all the rain, mold is up, and my allergies are fucking killing me. Still going for it. I should explain what I just did. Whenever you see me doing this, I'm checking where I'm at with fluid because I'm on dialysis. As I'm on dialysis, my kidneys do not work. I do not pee. So I go to dialysis. And so I have to limit how much I drink or how much fluid I take in throughout the day. And that includes food. Foods do have fluid in them, and that counts. But this doesn't work with everyone. This is just something I noticed works for me. When I want to check, just take my thumb, put it here, across this bone here, not below it, not above it, just right on it. Same thing with the finger on this knuckle, on this end of this bone. I don't know if it's the radius of the ulnus. I think this is the radius. And I measure across the radius, and if I can touch my fingertips together without having to squeeze, then I know I'm okay. And I know that tomorrow, since I don't have treatment today or tomorrow, today being Sunday, tomorrow being Monday, and I go in on Tuesday, I know that I should be about there. About 0.5 centimeters from my fingertips tomorrow night. I'll know I'll be okay. Then I won't be over what I'm supposed to be at most. Is it perfect? No. There are times I've been wrong and I've been over or under. And that's fine. Although with summer coming up, I can start wearing my sauna suit. And I know it sounds weird, but it's basically a plastic shirt that's real loose and baggy that traps your body heat, causes you to sweat. And that will be good to help get rid of some excess water in my system days I'm a little over. Because you can sweat out a lot of water, you know? Mm. Mm. It is good. That is a good stick. That is a really good stick. I really like that stick. Oh man. Hmm. That is that is a really good stick. I'm still upset about that stupid Island Jim cigar. Like I'm still mad at that. Like I am still kind of upset. Like I am not happy. Damn, I am actually angry. Oh well, I can't really do much about it now. Eh, oh well. Hmm. Saw Rebel Moon 2. Went on stream after, ranted about it because I really thought it was stupid. I thought there was a lot they could have done, and they didn't. Like I was. Not happy about that. And I had hopes for it. Excuse me. I had hopes for that. I like, Rebel Moon, the first part. I thought it was cool. It kind of got me into it. I was interested. Ended on a good cliffhanger. But Rebel Moon 2 was just bad. Bad in every way, you know? Like, the cinematography bugged me because they relied on so many slow motion dynamic shots. It was like watching 300 again. Like, it's like a kid who just found I could do slow motion. And so they did slow motion for every fucking impact, every hit, every little bit of action was slowed down to where it was almost like extending the fucking screen time of the runtime of the movie, And then at the end, they have this robot that, oh, these robots, they don't fight anymore because the princess died. And the princess died, so these robots won't fight anymore. Now they're all passive and, don't do anything other than carry stuff or work. And then the whole time they're on, the moon, on this agricultural moon, and they're, getting ready for the fight. This stupid robot's just skulking around like Gollum, or, from Lord of the Rings when he's stalking, Frodo. And he's just skulking around. And it's okay. So the robot's skulking around. He got adorned with fucking horns and shit. Who did that? I don't know. Or like this is what I don't get, right? This isn't like this Warhammer 40 not 40K. Well, it started off as a Warhammer Fantasy and then turned to a Warhammer 40K game because it was part of the game line set for maggots in the meat, where you start off in fantasy and then the Empire shows up and it's like, now you're a guardsman and whatever, and you're off on 40K. That was a cool way of doing it. The way they have the moon set up is they're an agrarian society. Okay, so they're farmers and they grow wheat, lots and lots of wheat. And there's this galactic empire that's evil, yet dressed like the British. It's hard to explain. It's like their uniforms were very British. They were very British in their appearance. And they show up and they want the wheat. I'm sorry, you're an empire capable of traveling through the vast void of space, but you need raw wheat and flour. Okay, I get that. Okay, I can understand empires need resources, but you just show up to this planet, demand their wheat, and you're just going to take it. Okay, doesn't make a lot of sense, but they have like 5 days to prepare, and they spend 3 days harvesting all the wheat. And they're using hand scythes, but they have hover carts to put all the wheat on. And it's just I don't get it. Like, are they primitive or are they not primitive? Are they primitive or not? Pick one. They have hover carts. Okay, whatever. So they harvest all the wheat in 3 days, and then they spend 2 days training to fight and preparing battlements. Part of which was a complicated series of tunnels and trenches for them to fight from. And they got it all done in 2 days? No, no, no. I doubt that. And they plan this ambush, and there's a scene where the people that are going to be leading the fight against this dreadnought, which has supposedly thousands of soldiers on it, against like maybe 40 people. Uh, they're these main characters are having this emotional reveal your backstory moment, right? Like one of them was a general for the empire, and he failed and didn't like where it was going, so he tried to rebel, and then the empire killed all his men in front of him, and he became a drunk because of it. uh, this other guy was from another empire that or kingdom that the empire took over, and that's his thing. uh this other one, the empire came to her village and killed everyone, and the first time she spilled blood was when she spilled her own because she cut her arms off to put these gauntlets on that allowed her to fight super awesomely with katanas. There was this other one where she was a pirate, but before a pirate, her village was taken by the Empire. They were sent all over the universe to harvest minerals, and she was a miner, and she was freed by the guy that she eventually joined his pirate crew. And he died in part one. And so she's still hanging around part two because now she's dedicated to fighting in his honor. Okay, that's fine. But the main protagonist, she doesn't reveal her backstory to the rest of the group. She keeps it to herself. It's like, okay, be a moody bitch. That's not good. That's bad story writing. So what ends up happening is she doesn't reveal her backstory, but she killed the princess because of, whatever. Because the empire killed the emperor and his wife, and she killed the princess, the emperor's daughter, and blah 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 blah. And so this is what I don't get. This is what I don't get. The Empire lands, their big red knot, boom, into the atmosphere. And they send down some ships to collect the grain. It's been turned to flour. And the villagers stacked all the wheat and grain and flour around their villages, around their houses and buildings in their village and in them. So the Empire wouldn't just blow it the fuck up. Okay, I can buy that. That's not terrible. I mean, that's one way of doing it. But so they land, and there's a standoff between her and then her boyfriend. He starts the fucking fight by hugging her and holding her tight, taking her gun, shooting this bell thing and all that. And she was like, "Hey, if y'all just take it and leave, that's fine." And that would have been a good answer. Would have been a short fucking movie. Like it would have shortened the movie by like a third. But so ends up happening is they end up fighting against the Empire's forces, the Imperial soldiers, and oh, we're winning, and then they start to lose, and then they 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 go up onto the main ship after one of the other landing ships is retreat after the two landing ships are retreating. They get on her ship, which they dragged out of somewhere using manpower instead of just flying it up and moving it, or cleaning it where it was and then moving it, flying it and moving it. Again, they did all that in 3 days. Uh, five. And, oh, we've got, it's her and her love interest. And like, oh, we've got wounded on this ship and damage and all this other crap. And so they get onto the main ship, and then, of course, they fight out, get out, and kill the people there trying to treat them because they think they're wounded, because they have blood on their uniforms. And oh, they said they were wounded. Okay, that could work. I could see that working. But then they kill the medics that were supposed to be treating them and sneak throughout the ship, the big dreadnought, which, mind you, is capable of interstellar flight, right? Capable of like supposed, I guess, faster than light travel. And this part where she's in above the engine room, and I'll get to the engine room in a second because I thought this was stupid, right? They get there, she's in there, and she's sneaking around, and she's planting bombs, right? Bombs that are probably about this big on this thing. It looks like a face, and she's not hiding them on there. She's just putting them on there, right? And the guard shows up. She shoots the guard, then jumps down after him after he's wounded and dead, and lands in the engine room, the actual engine room, where you see people working. There are people in there in this engine room working, which you would expect. But they're doing something I thought was incredibly fucking stupid. You have a ship that can travel through the void of space, the vacuum of space, and supposedly is capable of faster than light travel. There are guys in this engine room shoveling coal into furnaces, like on an old steam liner. And it's what? Why? What the fuck is the point of that? They're shoveling coal into furnaces to power the ship. That that makes no sense. It's like you're doing this for the sake of diesel punk just to make it diesel punk. No, that's like the old adage of just glue some gears on it and call it steampunk. You know, but she's fighting in there, and the eventually goes off. And then there's another scene that was stupid that they're the Empire has some guys patrolling where she put all those bombs. And like I said, the bombs are like about the size of this, right? And she puts a bunch of, and they're not hidden. They have lights on them and dials and all the, light. They have like the size of an Amazon Alexa, but with way more lights on it and timers. And these guys walk in and they look right at it and they don't see it. So then why did the guy that sees the bombs not see them until he was like 5 feet away from them at eye level? Bombs with lights on them in a dimly lit room, and you don't see them at eye level. Like more than 15 of these fucking things. The size of an Amazon Alexa with the top is all lit up with blue, white light, and you don't see that at 5 fucking feet away? Mm-mm, that's stupid. Of course, they're trying to get the people that put the bombs, the main hero, the heroine of the story. She's trying to stop them, and then at one point, they order the village to be hit with the big barrage gun from orbit blown up. But again, why does a ship that's obviously from a technologically advanced society need crank dials like on old artillery guns to move this massive cannon and aim it? That was stupid. That was poor writing. That was atmospheric writing that really made no fucking sense. And of course, they aim the cannon, but the bomb goes off right before the cannon fires, and the cannon misses its target. And then, fighting happens on the ship as it's falling from fucking orbit, and she somehow gets back to her little ship and gets out. And, And suddenly there's tanks on the ground, there's all sorts of ground fighting, and the sister of the pirate leader that joined her died in the first one just randomly shows up at the end, like Gandalf and Rohan showing up from the east with the sun behind him. At least that was explained. It took time for Gandalf and those guys to get to Helm's Deep to fucking help them, whatever the fuck it was, right? In this one, the fucking pirate cap leader's sister, who's now in charge of the pirates, just randomly shows up after she said she didn't want anything to do with it. She wanted nothing to do with it, and then she randomly shows up like she had a change of heart. Like that 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 didn't make sense to me. That's like okay, there were no scenes explaining why she changed her mind. She just suddenly changed her mind and shows up. That's lazy writing. That is lazy fucking writing, right? And then as they're fighting, the fucking robot decides it's going to fight. And you get this Deus Ex Machina, God in the Machine moment where this badass robot fucking tears up everything and it's an awesome fighter. It's so cool and so powerful. It takes down almost the entire, Imperial army on this planet on its fucking own. And it's like, what? What? No. No character development. You just showed the robots skulking around, hiding and spying on them as they're getting ready for this big fight. You didn't explain anything further than you did when you first introduced the robot characters. Oh, they stopped fighting. They put down their weapons after the princess died inexplicably, without explanation. They just put down their weapons and stopped fighting. Okay. Now it's supposed to be a Billy badass, and you don't explain why it's had a change of heart. And then it gives some monologue about, oh, memories that aren't mine, fighting for a princess I've never met, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what? No, that's, again, that's lazy. And the way the robot just shows up and whoops all this ass it reminds me all the times when I was playing like tabletop RPGs where the DM or, the DM would have their own little NPC PC that they played. And they, Billy Badass fucking solves everything, one shots any boss or enemy. And it's like, it was like that. It's like, what the fuck? Bug the shit out. Like, it really bugged the shit out of me. And of course, they ended on a cliffhanger for part three. And I don't know if I'm going to watch part three. I'm probably not going to watch part three. But at the end, it's, oh, the princess that you killed isn't dead. Just because you saw her body fall doesn't mean she's dead. And it's like, what the fuck are they going on about? They show a scene where the princess gets shot and this light comes out of her and all this mystical crap, but they don't explain it. They give no explanation. There's no exposition. It's like, oh, she's actually alive. Like, what the fuck are y'all going on about? This is the dumbest shit ever. And of course, the enemy, the leader of that ship, he's just a jerk and a poorly written character. Like, there's no motives for what he's doing. There's no motivation explained for why he's doing anything he does. He's just an asshole for the sake of being written to be an asshole. That's it. That's his entire thing. And it bugged the shit out of me. Like, they could have explained so many things so much better. Like, in the first one, they did a good job of demonstrating the soldiers he left behind to monitor and make sure that the village was going to turn over all their, all the wheat he wanted, of showing that they were bad people. There's a scene where they're going to do something very unforgivable to a woman, and even the commander of that little unit was in on it. And, they did a good job of explaining that these are not good people. But they don't explain any of the motivations for the big guy in charge. Like, he's a jerk. Okay. He's an asshole. Okay. Why? You don't explain it. There's no explanation. He's just an asshole to be an asshole, written to be a jerk. You know, and it doesn't make sense. Like, Vader in Star Wars was written to be an ominous presence, but he has character growth, and they drop hints and bits about his past when he was, not Vader, when he was still Anakin, when he was still Anakin, pod racing, all that shit. Before episodes 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, and 6, they explain slowly throughout the whole thing why he is the way he is. But they also set him up as he's not just doing shit just to do it, to be a jerk. He's the Emperor's right hand man. He's, in charge of this and that. He's doing things for a reason. It's not just suddenly badass. It's just, I do this because this is what the character does. This is what the character does. Okay, that's fine. The character motivations are very simple and easy to understand in Star Wars. In Rebel Moon 2, they don't really explain that. Like, there's no real reasoning or explanation for his reasoning other than hunting down this one lady who just happened to be on the moon, who killed the emperor, who was there when the emperor and his wife and their daughter died. And she got blamed for it. They don't explain it. Like, they don't explain shit. They don't explain his motivations. They there's just so many plot holes and failure to explain in that movie that it just really fucking killed it for me. It really ruined it for me. Like, it's like the last two episodes of Game of Thrones. I mean, yeah, the last season was underwhelming and wasn't written very well, but that's because Martin was fucking off doing whatever. He hadn't written the last book yet, so HBO had their writers do it, and they did mm, an all right job. I mean, it was, yeah, but the ending was stupid and didn't make sense for all the character development. You know, it didn't, and that's kind of how Rebel Moon 2 felt. Rebel Moon 2 felt because there was no character development for some of these characters. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not mad because the lead role was female. It was woman, or that the main hero was a woman. That's fine. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is that there's no character development. You know, like, it was like poorly written garbage. Like, they had something they could have done a really really good job with, but they chose so many things to go with that it made no fucking sense. You know, and again, the thing about the cinematography that bugged me was the overuse of that dynamic slow motion shot anytime any fucking dramatic or hit, impact, or explosion happened. They had to slow it down to make it look more dramatic, and I think it was more to fill out runtime. Like it's something that would take 1, 2 seconds on film, on a regular speed, now takes 5 to 10 seconds. And when your movie's full of that, those 5 to 10 second slow motion shots really add up. They really do. And it's a shame because again, they could have done something with it, but they went the other way. And so I'm still really disappointed in that show, movie, whatever you want to call it. You know, I mean, they could have done so much with it. They could have put so much more effort into writing, exposition, better dialogue, better explanations. And again, they didn't. And like they have this robot that's supposed to be Billy Badass, and he doesn't do anything in the first one. And then in the second one, he just wanders around, skulking around, hiding, sneaking over shit. Hell, there's a scene where they're doing something near a waterfall or a valley of some sort. I think it was a valley. And you see the robot climbing on top of a rock, looking down from like 50 plus feet up. No explanation what the robot's doing. He's just watching. And the robot doesn't say anything until the very end. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, memories that aren't yours? What the fuck? That's not right. And who adorned it with the crown of antlers and all this other shit? It makes no fucking sense. It makes none, you know? Or the dude that looks like he's Mesoamerican, whose kingdom was taken over by the Empire. And they killed his dad, and his mom unalived herself by walking off a balcony. They're fighting spaceship, or they're fighting these little landing craft with fucking griffins, and it makes no sense. Like, why would you assume your little griffin is going to tear apart a spaceship the size of a bus? You're gonna get whopped. I just don't see the logic behind that. It really bugged me. It still bugs the shit out of me now that I think about it. Because again, they could have done something better, but they didn't. They went for derivative cash grab bullshit, and they half-assed it, and it really shows. Like anytime I've been in a pen and paper RPG, you can always tell when the GM put effort into a story or when they didn't. And I don't mean like seat of the pants kind of improv, for when your characters do something unexpected. No, I mean like when you have a GM that has their own character that's playing along with the players, and that character doesn't do anything other than whoop ass at the very big end fight, and then delivers monologue of bullshit. You have a story that isn't well written. You have a GM that they just didn't put their heart into it. They just half-assed it. You can always tell. You can. You can always tell. It always shines through, and it's never good. It's usually bad. You know, like I've sat through a bunch of. I've been in game groups where people will do random things that make sense. They're just a little off the wall for what they're thinking, and that makes sense. Right. But one of the other things that happens is you could tell when a GM is just having a power fantasy and they're playing their character to do it. You know, and like I said, like my buddy Highlander, you know, great guy, good friend. Wish I could get him on on the podcast. I've played in tons of our pen and paper games with him, and he's DM'd a bunch of them, and they were all solid written. He put a lot of effort into his storylines, and he never played his own character in the game. He always had NPCs, and controlled the NPCs, but they stayed non-player characters, and they didn't take the limelight. And the big bad guy always had a reasoning behind his actions. There was always an explanation for why he was doing something the way he was doing it, and that made sense. What doesn't make sense is when somebody decides that they don't need to provide an explanation. And I know that in real life, you're not going to get an explanation for why someone does something, but there's usually reasoning behind it that they have. So they may not, give you that reason, but there's a reason behind it. Whether it's logical or pragmatic is out the window. You never know. But there's a reason to it. In Rebel Moon 2, the big bad guy, there was almost no fucking reasoning for why he was doing what he was doing. You know, like no reason, just gonna do this because I'm evil. Like even like in Austin Powers, fucking Doctor Evil had a motivation. Yes, it was a campy reason. Yeah, he's doing it for money because he's evil. We get it. But there was at least an effort to explain that, he's not just evil, he's doing it for a reason. So yeah. Oh man, that movie pissed me off. Mm. Yeah, that was that. And there are people out there who like that show, liked the movie, and that's their prerogative. They liked it. I'm not gonna shit on them. I'm just gonna shit on the movie. It's like the director Schneider, whatever his name was. I've noticed that one of my friends pointed out that unless he has a source material and he's not writing it, it's usually good. If he writes it, it's usually crap. Like, God, we're gonna have to look it up, but like when he when he writes something, it's crap. If someone else writes it and he has a source material, it's usually pretty good. But this is a case of him writing it. Let's see who wrote Rebel Moon. Zack Schneider. Yeah, yeah. So Rebel Moon Part One, Child of Fire, was written by Zack Schneider with from a screenplay he co-wrote with Kurt Johnstad and Shay Hatt. So those are three people that probably shouldn't fucking take up a career in writing because that was garbage. But hey, if they want to write, let them write. Maybe they'll get better. I think that should have been a fanfic on like DeviantArt or something. And that's what gets me. Zack Snyder's a competent director, good director. Just why would they put out this piece of shit? And are they like patting themselves on the back? We wrote Rebel Moon. It's going to be the new Star Wars. No, it's not. Calm down. It's not going to be new Star Wars. It's going to be garbage. You wrote garbage, Snyder. You wrote garbage. What all has he done? Zack Snyder, American film director. Let's see. Let's look up his IMDb. Right? Internet Movie Database. And let's see. Known for 300. Well, that explains the slow motion. Wonder Woman. That explains the fucking slow motion. Justice League. That explains the slow motion. Watchmen. I'm not installing the app. Watchmen. That doesn't really explain. Oh, that had a lot of dynamic shots. So that makes sense with the dynamic shots. He's in love with dynamic slow motion, as evident Wonder Woman, 300, Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon 1, Child of Fire was okay. Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver was shit. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, it's not very funny. Army of the Dead, not very funny. Justice League kind of sucked. Magical Time kind of sucked. Justice League kind of sucked. Snow Team Iron sucked. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice was okay. 75th anniversary Superman was okay. Man of Steel sucked. Sucker Punch sucked. Legend of the Guardians definitely sucked. Watchmen was okay. My Chemical Romance Desolation was it was alright. 300 sucked. The Lost Tape, Andy's Terrifying Last Adventure sucked. Dawn of the Dead sucked. Uh, he does a lot of documentaries. Like he did one for Rod Stewart, ZZ Top, Sean Colvin, Soul Asylum, Morrissey, Peter Murphy. He does a lot of those. He's got like some upcoming stuff. Army of the Dead, Las Vegas, probably gonna suck. Deadshot, probably gonna suck. Planet of the Dead, probably gonna suck. Twilight of the Gods, gonna be TV series, and it's probably gonna suck. As a writer, Twilight of the Gods is probably gonna suck. What else is written? Rebel Moon 1 and 2, Army of Thieves, Army of the Dead, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Snow Team Iron, Wonder Woman, Rise of the Empire, Sucker Punch, Tales of the Black Freighter, and he didn't write 300. 300 was based off of an older movie called 300 Spartans. That's your fact for the day. Zack Snyder did not write 300. He rewrote 300 Spartans, an older movie, and he did it in his typical, I'm going to use dynamic slow motion for all these impacts. And South Park did a really great parody of it when Mr. Garrison became Mrs. Garrison. And yeah, it was just, it made a good point of making fun of it. It was a good point of making fun of that. And so, yeah. And on that terrible disappointment, we're going to end today. We're going to end stream here in a second. All right. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have our weather stream sometime in the afternoon. But if you liked it, you liked it. If you didn't, I'm sorry. And y'all be good to each other. Bye.